Um, this one I decided to do on what little I know about mediumship, um, being a medium. I will admit this is the one where I am still learning a lot about. It's one I haven't explored too much yet. It's what I'm kind of working on right now, mainly. I do know there are a crap ton of different kind of mediums. That's one thing I know for sure. There's a lot. There's a lot of different terms for them, for the different kinds. Some can see spirits, some can feel them, some can talk to them. Some people see them in different ways. So there's all sorts of different kinds, and I couldn't even begin to tell you the different kinds. Um, it's more of explaining how I realized I was one. Because a lot of highly sensitive people can pick up on energies and pick up on spirits. Maybe they don't realize that's what it is. Um, but mediums, we tend to, most of us tend to see them. I have only ever physically, with my own eyes, I think, seen one once. Um, and it was a shadow. I don't know if I would go as far as to say it was a shadow person, but it was definitely a shadow. It was also kind of going to go into more like my experiences with it. So I guess it's experience day, experience video day. For me, I I could always feel shifts in energy. Growing up, like I said, I've always been very intuitive that way. I've always been able to feel things others might not pick up on, um, and sense things, um, hear things. A lot of highly sensitive people can. A lot of people, like traditional hauntings, people can hear things. Um, for me, it didn't get crazy until I started my job as a waitress. Actually, it's a place called in a city called Mill Bay. I guess you could actually say town. It's very small, um, and it was really interesting because I actually went into it not knowing anything about it, didn't know how old it was, didn't know the history. I didn't even, I just started working there. Um, and it was fine. It was whatever. And then I'm not even sure how long I was working there, maybe a couple months. What started for me was like, have you ever been doing something and somebody walks by and it makes that shadow and you don't really see them, but then you look up because something walked by? That's how it started for me. I would be doing something at the computer and I would notice a shadow would walk by outside. It wasn't even in the restaurant; it was outside. And so I'd go to look up because I thought maybe somebody had walked in and I didn't hear them, or something, which wouldn't make sense because the door always it beeps when the door opens, so you would think I would have heard somebody. Um, and every time I'd look up, there was nobody there, and the windows they're doing really big windows. Like if somebody was walking past that window, by the time I would look up, I would see them. I mean, maybe if they were running, maybe I'd miss them, but it was never that quick. It was like like somebody just casually walking past, and the first couple times I was just like, okay, because as much as I am a very highly sensitive person, and I'm very much into the paranormal, and I am very much into all of that, I always go with, okay, what's logically the explanation? I will always go there first. I will never, unless I'm 110% sure it's paranormal, I will never jump there. I always go with, okay, let's cancel out all other possible possibilities before I even go there. And so, at first I was just like, okay, I'm tired. A bird flew by. Um, I don't know. Like, okay, this is really bothering me. I'm sorry. But I would always, okay, so that has to be what it is. But it continued to happen and it continued to happen and continued to happen. And I was like, okay, now something's going on. So then we have no AC in that building, just fans, which is brutal in the summer. So as soon as it starts to get somewhat warm, we tend to keep the door open. just get that flow in and out. And so it started to get that warm, and so I had left the door open. Um, and it's not the little thingy doesn't go off if someone walks in. It's not motion. It's literally the door has to open for it to go off. So I don't necessarily know when people come in if I'm not facing the door. If I'm facing the other way doing something, I wouldn't necessarily know somebody has walked in if they're quiet. The little metal things on some doors, like, and people, if you kick it when you walk in, it makes that kind of a noise. Um, and a couple times that happened. That started to happen. I felt like somebody was, I would hear it. I'd physically with my own ears hear somebody kick it. And I'd turn around and nobody was there. So I thought that was kind of weird. Again, I'd be like, okay, a really small pebble got blown up by the wind and it hit it. Like, probably not. But that's what I was telling myself because I wasn't going to jump there. And then it graduated to knocking. I would actually hear knocking. Actually, that might have been the very first thing I heard. I'm not entirely sure, but because it's all happened within like weeks of each other. The knocking was interesting because it wasn't like knock, 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 like somebody like, hello. It was as if somebody was moving furniture and something knocked up against the wall, which is what I assumed was happening because that's exactly what it sounded like. And I didn't realize because I've actually never been. There's a coffee shop next door. I've actually never been over there at that point. And then one day I was going out, and I was had gone to open the door because our doors swing the same way. And I went to go out, so I went to go push it, and I just happened to look in. And the only thing there's no tables up against that wall. There's one, but it's not against the wall. In no way would there ever be a situation where the chair or the door or the table itself would hit that wall. It's not possible. There is a bookcase there, but even that, it wouldn't have been that kind of knock I heard. So I was a little thrown off by that because that was my explanation in my head, right? There's knocking, someone's just moving stuff. No. In no scenario would that kind of knocking happen with the way things were set up over there. So I thought that was a little weird. And then it just kind of went from there. I would hear different things. The one time I actually heard something was I heard hey in my right ear. I was facing the other way. I was like rolling cutlery or I was doing something or filling salt. I don't know. I was doing something and I wasn't looking behind me. And as clear as day, I heard it right in my ear. I heard it. It was very breathy. It was very like just, hey, in my ear. And I don't think I've ever turned around so fast. And I whipped around because I thought somebody had come in the restaurant and was trying to get my attention. So I turned around and there was nobody there. And I'm just like, okay, what is happening? Because now I'm seeing things walk by the window. Now I'm hearing people kicking the thing on the floor and there's nobody there. I'm hearing knocking. Like, these are all phantom sounds. These are all phantom happenings. Like, what is happening? I couldn't explain that one away. So I just kind of like, okay, well, that's interesting. Whatever. So I went back to what I was doing. I don't remember if it was the same day or if it was a different day. But I heard my name. I heard my name being called in the same ear. It was really weird. And it was, the weird thing for me is it was Jess. Now, I do put Jess on all of my stuff, like my KK will say Jess, and my Discord says Jess, and everything that says Jess, because I don't like my full name being used. I feel like I'm in trouble. Someone's using my full name, I've done something wrong. Because or it's a very formal setting, like a job interview, or, something like that. Otherwise, only friends and family really would call me, only friends and family would really know that about me. Like anybody else who doesn't necessarily know me would call me by my full name, unless I've specified otherwise. So I found that very interesting that it wasn't my full name. It was Jess, which I found interesting. That one, I believe, was accompanied by that rush feeling, when someone's rushing up behind you. And I had that in the Jess thing, and that was when I was like, okay, something paranormal is happening in this place, because that's just too many. I don't believe in coincidences, and that's just too many experiences that I can't explain away. Something's going on. And that is when I decided that place was haunted, by something. And that's when I decided that I was most likely a medium, seeing as that kept happening. I felt like everything kept people kept trying to talk to me. Something kept trying to talk to me. And it just got worse from there. I don't know if it was because I was now acknowledging it or what. This is my own personal opinion. I believe that there are multiple spirits there, and I don't feel like most of them are bad or evil in any way, shape, or form. I feel like most of the things that are there are either residual, meaning it's something that has already happened, and it's just replaying. It's not an intelligent spirit that's hanging out there. It's just something that has already happened, and it's like a time loop, and it just keeps happening, and it just keeps happening. And there's literally nothing there to hurt you at all. You can't even communicate. It probably doesn't even know what's happening. It's more like a timestamp versus an actual spirit. But I can't explain it. It's just an intuition I have, where I feel like there are multiple things there, and most of them are just kind of hanging out and doing their thing. I think some of them like to mess with me. Because they know they can, because they know I can feel them. I will tell you, the shadow thing kind of got to me a little, mainly because, again, I was facing the kitchen, and I was doing cutlery or whatever I was doing, and I just happened to kind of see out of the corner of my eye. And the weird thing about it is that I looked up because I saw something, and I looked up, and it wasn't even like a full person. It's very difficult to explain. It had the shape, sort of, like I could see the shape of a head, the shape of some shoulders, and that was kind of it. There wasn't like really any legs. Of course, from where I'm at, I wouldn't have been able to see legs if there was. But it was weird. It was almost as if it was hanging out and just doing its thing. And if it had eyes, it was as if our eyes locked for like maybe 2 seconds. And then it was like, oh, crap, she can see me. And it legit, like from Scooby-Doo, no joke, like a show like Scooby-Doo, I should say. It literally went from the head, and it went whoop, and like a little string almost, and went right out the window that doesn't open. So that was interesting. Oh, I guess technically the window does open, but there's like bars on it, and like a person wouldn't have been able to just out of it. It was the weirdest thing. It was comical to me. It startled me for a minute, but honestly, at the end of the day, it was more funny to me because it was almost like, crap, I'm seen, bye, and it left. That's literally the only thing spirit wise that I can personally say that I've seen. But I have all sorts of really cool experiences from that place. Things from dishes moving and when no one's touching them, to like all those noises I heard. One of the coolest things I remember happening there is that, and this was weird because 99% of the things I've heard were when no one else was in the restaurant. So it was just me. But this was really interesting because there was 2 couples in the restaurant at the time. And I heard kind of like, not tissue paper, but kind of, I guess tissue paper would be the best explanation. More like a foil tissue paper mix, like crinkling. Like, you go to crinkle it up to throw it away. It was that kind of noise, but it was loud. And it was all in like the corner where the front door was. And it was so loud that I remember turning around and looking in that corner, like, what is that? And then both couples that were in were looking at me like I was crazy. So clearly they didn't hear it. Whatever. Or they were really cool about it and just pretended like they didn't. And that was interesting to me. And then other part of that was I went to go give the customer who was literally sitting right around that corner. So there's like the booths and then the front door. And that was the corner. I heard everything, and they were sitting right here by the front door. I went to go hand them their food, and as I'm putting it down, I heard the same crinkling noise to the point where I jumped and looked up in that corner. And again, they're both looking at me like, what is your issue? Like, what are you, like, what's going on, right? Are you crazy? And so that was another indicator to me that whatever it was, clearly no one else is hearing it. It's just me. So it solidified to me that there must be something going on. And I have multiple times had that rush feeling there, where I'm standing there and I'm all alone, and all of a sudden it's like rush, and I turn around and I jump and nothing's there. So it is really cool. I've had a lot of experiences. Now, one really interesting thing to me personally is I have a semi-regular customer comes in. He gets same thing every time. Pretty much have it memorized by now. But he likes to sit outside. There's picnic tables outside, and regardless of the weather, unless it's like really, really, really cold, he likes to sit outside. And I went to go hand him his food the one day, and we just got, for some whatever reason, got to talking, and he was telling me how he's been coming to this specific building for, I think he said since 1980, I think he said 80 something, before I was born, because I'm 88, so he said he's been coming, and it has changed hands many times, apparently. He said in the beginning it was, I think he said first it was a pizzeria, then it was, I think he said Chinese, and then it was a fish and chips, and then it was a different fish and chips, and now it's our fish and chips, and so it's just changed a lot. But one thing he said that caught my attention, as he said when it was a pizza parlor, it was actually our shop, and the coffee shop next door was actually one big shop. And there's an archway where we have like our specials and stuff. And when he said that, it clicked actually, because this archway is brick. Yeah, it's very pizzeria. But what he said was, yeah, it used to be one big arch. The archway was like the entrance into another part of the restaurant. And he said, yeah, it used to be one big thing. And I didn't really think much of it at the time. And then I walked back inside and I examined the wall, and I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like, it's a false wall. Like, it was actually built after. And you can tell that the part where the archway was an afterthought. You can tell. And I never even, like, I never had a reason to look, right? Like, why would I look that closely? And then months later, actually, I was like, huh, that's interesting. Let's think of, like, possibly, maybe what the knocking I heard was that residual energy, maybe, or it's the spirits of people who used to come to this place. You know, a lot of people believe that when you die, you go, sometimes you go to places you're happiest. I know it sounds a little dumb that a pizza parlor could be a place people would go to, but you don't know. Like, maybe it was the owners. Maybe it was the owner's children. Who knows? The owner's children might be a little weird because they'd probably still be alive at this point, but you never know. What if, and I know it's a little far-fetched, but what if the knocking I heard was people trying to come through that wall, not realizing that it's not one big place anymore, right? And it was about that time, I think, when I started to really open my mind up into other possibilities, and to start thinking more bigger instead of like so enclosed, allowing myself to think of possibilities, you know, and entertain those possibilities, because you just never know, right? Is it a far-fetched thought? Yeah, it could be. But it also could be why I kept hearing knocking. Like, that's just such a weird thing to hear, like, against a wall, right? Like, and it would make sense that, you know what, why can't I get through? This is supposed to be open. I have so many, like, experiences from that place. Won't bore you into every single one of them because there's a lot. But that's about the time that I started realizing that I was more than just an empath. I was more than just a highly sensitive person. I think that I could actually, if I work on this, if I work with this gift, I could possibly actually talk to them. I could possibly actually see them and help. And honestly, at the end of the day, that's my long-term goal. I would really enjoy, and I'm stuck right now with that. That is something that I am personally right now stuck on and trying to figure out. And I don't really know how. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out how to strengthen that, because I believe that I could be a very powerful medium in that sense. I feel like if I can just figure it out, for me personally, because we all have to do it in our own way, that I feel like I could really help spirits. I get this feeling that I have spirits that come to me to get my attention, and they get frustrated. This is just my own personal feeling, because I never hear them. I sense them. I do hear them, like my name being called or things like that. I know they're there. For me personally, when I know a spirit's around, I've been asked this before. For me personally, I know it's a spirit because the same exact things happen. The same steps happen. First, I get a cold feeling and or a gust of wind. A lot of the time, it's just this random that hits me. It doesn't just get cold. It's like a wind that hits me, and I'm just like, oh, okay then, hi. Because it's very cold. It's a very cold wind. It's a phantom wind, so I always check first. Okay, are there any windows open? Could there possibly be any draft? No, okay. Probably a spirit then. Followed by, I usually get very, very bad chills. They're just usually on my arms, just run up and down my arms. Followed, like really cold chills too. Everything's really cold. Followed by, I get really lightheaded, really dizzy. My belief is that that's them trying to use my energy to manifest in some way. I have, and I maybe shouldn't have, but I have before mentioned it at my work. I've said, you know what, if you need to use a little bit of my energy to get my attention or to manifest, you know, you go ahead. Don't drain me of it completely, pretty please. I need that. But if you need a little bit of it, go ahead. Like and I actually don't mind that. If spirits need a little bit of a help, I don't mind. I just make it very clear you can't have it all because I need it. And so sometimes I usually get lightheaded. Sometimes I'll get nauseous. A lot of the times I'll get nauseous, just because I don't have, like, they're draining me. And so I get that quite often. Usually at work. Sometimes randomly other places, but it tends to be at work. And I feel like, I feel bad because I feel like they're doing all of this and they're using so much energy to get my attention, and then I don't know how to listen, if that makes any sense at all. And I would like to listen, and I would like to help, and I'd actually, careful what you wish for, but I really wouldn't mind seeing them, because it would just, I think it would be helpful. I feel like if I could actually see what I'm feeling and have a conversation with them, it'd make me feel better. It'd make me feel like I'm not as crazy. But I don't know how to get there. And so I'm working on that. But that's really what makes me feel in my heart that I am a medium. I just need to figure out how to work with it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say on that. But I am planning on, I have actually kind of made my own little group. I'm reluctant to call it ghost hunting. I feel like ghost hunting makes it sound like we're going after them, and that's not ever my intent. I don't want to disrupt anybody. I want to help if I can. So I always go at it as a first, I want to know you're there. Also, if you need help to move on, I want to be able to help you. So I don't really want to call it ghost hunting. I call it that because I don't really know what else to call it. But I'm hoping that in doing these trips with people that I can strengthen mine. I like to go to places that are known to be haunted because I like to try to sharpen my own abilities. It's never to disrespect spirits. It's never anything like that. That's why I don't like ghost shows that provoke. Um, I feel, I should say, there are times when that is necessary, but in a general sense, I don't like that because you're just being disrespectful. This person clearly, is still here for a reason. Why are you provoking them? Why are you making their afterlife that much harder, right? Like, they're already stuck here. What are you doing? Um, so when I go ghost hunting, for lack of a better word, it's never my intent to frustrate or to provoke or anything like that. I go for it, do it, one, to try to strengthen my own abilities, and two, hopefully at some point I can see them and I can talk to them, I can help them. And honestly, that is what I want out of my own mediumship ability. And so that's what I'm working on right now. But that's really what made me realize that I'm most likely a medium as well, because of the ways that I pick up on them. It feels very targeted. It feels very like they're literally trying to get my attention. It's different than just sensing them. It feels very like, hey, pay attention to me, which is very much a medium thing. So I'm not really sure exactly what my whole intent with this video was. I think it was more just, to talk about the fact that there are very many different kinds. Also to put out there that, you know what, if you're feeling similar things or experiencing similar things that I've explained, more likely than not, you're not crazy. That you very well could be. Or maybe you're just a highly sensitive person as well. But also to caution, don't be a dick. Like, just don't. There's no point in like disrupting people in their afterlife. Don't go ghost hunting for that reason anyway. And also, if you are gonna do stuff like that, be very careful. Like I said, better to protect and not need it. So, yeah, I could go on and on and on and on and on with experiences from my work, but that would take years, and I don't really feel like boring everyone that long. But that's kind of how I figured out that I was an empath and or a medium, and yeah, that's about where I am at my journey. My throat hurts because I've been talking a lot, so I am going to end this video and probably take a nap. Thanks everyone for bearing with me for this almost half hour, and yeah, as always, you can comment and if you want to chat more, and I'm all for chatting, clearly. So yeah, thanks guys, bye.